Today we're going to talk about a beginner's guide, how to build a fasting lifestyle. What do you have to have in place? And I have 4 pillars that I'm going to bring up and go over. And I have an additional pillar that I didn't even recognize or realize that I needed until after I had spent years building my own fasting lifestyle. So if that sounds like something that you want to dive into, stay tuned. Okay, so as we begin, I want you to the first pillar is to make your mind up of what you're going to accomplish. In these pillars, we're going to get a mindset going that we are coming to this fasting lifestyle with a foundational beginning. When I started, I didn't have these pillars. And so I had to learn them and work with them as I went. So these pillars really help to make sure that you create this fasting lifestyle for yourself and something you stick to. So the first one is setting a goal. Why are you wanting to do a fasting lifestyle? If you've learned anything about fasting, there's so many things that it's good for and so many things that it can help in your life. You may have one, you may have many reasons. So what if your first reason, the reason I came to intermittent fasting, was fat loss? That's why I came, to lose weight. That might be your goal. That might be your reason. You've coming for fat loss, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you want to know what it is, why you want that. You know, making out a statement of why you want this fat loss. What is it going to do for you? How do you see yourself once you achieve that? That's a good mindset to begin with. Or is it hormonal balance? Fasting has shown in many clients, all of the doctors and everything that I've followed, that fasting really can help to balance hormones and to address hormonal conditions. Many women have used fasting as an effective tool for things like PCOS, infertility, painful periods, or menopausal symptoms, because fasting does positively influence your hormonal balance. So if that's something that you're worrying about, then hormonal balance can be your goal. The one thing to remember is, as you're fasting and as you're building this lifestyle, you will have to fast in accordance with those hormonal needs depending on your cycle, if you're still cycling or not. But even menopausal women, we still have all those hormones, and we need to make sure that they're all supported sufficiently. So you have to learn how to fast with that, especially being a woman. So just keep that in mind. You also have to keep in mind that if you're using fasting to help regulate your hormones, you have to be patient. It might take 90 days to get into a rhythm, to get into a routine, to know what you have to do to help support your hormones. That takes patience, and you have to realize that just because you may not see something right off doesn't mean it's not happening. One of the things I found when I started fasting was a lot of the healing was done inward, and I didn't always see the effects of it. It wasn't until weeks after that I noticed, okay, well, this was healing. This feels better. This is taking care of itself. So your body, as amazing as it was created, the cells in it, right down to the mitochondria, everything knows where you need to be healed, there needs to be attention paid to inflammation, disease, dead cells. It knows what it needs to do. So your body will go ahead and do that. That's one of the things, we can't say, okay, I'm gonna fast because I need this healed. Your body will start to heal what it needs to heal, and it may take you a while to see that healing come to light. But be assured that if you are fasting the right way and doing what you need to do, your body is healing, whether you can see it or not. Okay, and so maybe you are fasting to alleviate certain symptoms. That can be another goal. The symptoms that you might have when you come to this lifestyle that you want to heal. Those symptoms could be like autoimmune disease. It could be diabetes. It could be inflammation, chronic inflammation. It could be Alzheimer's or dementia. What are the diseases? If you have a disease or a condition that you're trying to alleviate the symptoms or alleviate completely, is that why you're coming to fasting? That's a great reason. And fasting is a healing state. That's putting your body into a state where it can heal itself. And so all of these different ailments, different conditions need healing, and you can do it with fasting. So if you have your mind set, that first pillar, what is my reason? Is it to lose fat? Is it to have hormonal balance? Is it to relieve some condition, help healing with something that you need healing, fasting does all those things. And it's a great thing to add in and to build your lifestyle around. Okay, now pillar number 2 is vary your fasting length. You want to make sure that you're not fasting the same day after day over and over. I made this mistake at the beginning. I was doing longer fasts, eating very little in between, and very quickly I had some issues with doing that. My hair started falling out. I didn't feel the best. I didn't have energy. And then before long, I started to gain the weight back. So I knew something was not right. And what it was I was fasting the same day after day after day. And I've come to realize that you can't do that. Sometimes a man can. That's fasting like a man. Lots of times they can fast like that. As women and our hormone fluctuations throughout the month, we have to make sure we are fasting in accordance with our hormonal needs. And that means some days you have to fast less, and some days you're free to fast as long as you want. And once I started to incorporate that and finally tune that in to know my health took a turn, I lost fat, I feel better, I feel younger, and now my body is just thriving because I alternate these fasts, different fasts for different days, different times of my cycle. It's like if you're lifting weights, you go to lift weights and you use the same weight all the time to lift, to lift, to lift. Yeah, you'll see some results, but after a while, this muscle is where it's going to be, and that doesn't matter how many times you lift that same weight. It's not going to change. What's going to happen is it's going to just stop having an effect on you. So what do you have to do? You have to change that. Do some lighter weight, do some heavy weight. You have to keep the body in guessing. And the same way with your fasting muscle. You have to make sure that you are varying your fasts so that they keep strengthening you, they keep giving you that right amount of stress to help your body go into healing, to flex back and forth between sugar burning and fat burning, metabolic flexibility. We need to be able to do that, and varying the lengths of your fasts is how you do that. So when you decide to start varying your fast, you have to make sure that you are putting into place a schedule, a timeline that's appropriate for you in your life, because the whole process of developing a fasting lifestyle is you want a lifestyle that's going to stick, that's eventually going to come to you like second nature, like you don't even have to think about it. That's what's happened with me. I don't even have to think about it. I know where I am on my cycle. I know how long I should fast or how long I shouldn't fast. And I know what I need to be eating at that specific time, but making it personal so you can live it and it becomes just a daily part of your life. That's one of the beauties about fasting. You can tweak it, you can change it, you can adjust it until it feels right for you. And I would be doing you no favor if I came and said, you should fast this much, you should do 1 meal a day, you should do 2 meals a day, you should fast alternate day fasting. All of those are great, but you have to fit those into your own personal lifestyle and use them according to you and your cycle. Now, most people will begin with an 8-hour eating window. That's the easiest to do, right? You start eating at 12, you stop eating, say at 8 if you're a late eater, and then you go till 12 the next day. Skipping breakfast is the easiest for most people to start. And that can be a goal, start with the 8 hours. But after that, you will want to change it up a bit. There are people who do 1 meal a day every single day, and they feel great, and they are at maintenance, they've lost their weight, and they feel fine. That's okay, and that's great, but that might not last forever. There's lots of us women who in our 30s or 40s or 50s do the same thing that we've been doing for years, and all of a sudden it stops working. We're gaining weight, and we haven't even changed anything, or we're tired, or we can't sleep, we have no energy, we can't stop eating. All of a sudden, and so we realize that, okay, it's more than just what I'm doing. There's something else. And that's when you know it's a hormonal thing. And you really have to support your hormones through changing up your fasting, changing up your eating, and coming to it at a lifestyle approach that encompasses everything, not just the fasting approach. Maybe it has worked for you in the past and you're struggling and saying, I did OMAD for so long, 1 meal a day, and now I'm gaining weight. Well, it's time. That's your body saying, okay, we need to change. Keep that in mind. Third pillar is to vary your food choices. I know for me, I got stuck in a rut where I was eating the same thing day after day after day. And the reason for that was because it was easy for me. I didn't have to think about what I was eating. I didn't have to make a decision. So it kept it easy for me to stay on plan. But what I wasn't doing was addressing the fact that my microbiome needed support. I needed something in what I ate to make sure that I was feeding the good bacteria and keeping the bad bacteria under control. And we do that with varying our foods, also supporting the liver and supporting your stomach. The things that we have to change up what we eat. Now, God gave us so many different kinds of food, and I did the keto, stay away from vegetables, the carnivore. I did all that, and it worked for a time. But then I came to a point where it wasn't working anymore. It wasn't giving me the benefits that I wanted to have. What did I learn from those? Those were like elimination diets where I did learn what works with my body, what doesn't. But then once I got into the area where I needed something to support my hormones throughout my cycle, I realized that I needed to bring in some things that I didn't have before. I brought in nuts, I brought in seeds, I brought in some foods that were probiotics, prebiotics, polyphenols. These are important for your gut because your gut is directly responsible for your hormones, for your mental capability, for inflammation. Your gut is so important. So you have to make sure that you're taking care of your gut and having good bacteria in there so that everything else stays balanced. Now I eat according to my cycle. There's different ways of eating. There's keto, there's ketobiotic, which has a little more of nature's carbs like sweet potato, which I love and I can eat again, and I am so grateful for that. So sweet potato, or making sure you have a big salad to make sure you're getting all the greens and the different nutrients, and mixing up the different greens that you put in there, the kale, the spinach, the radicchio, the different things that you can put in that really help to build your microbiome. And as your body comes back into balance, you'd be surprised that some foods that used to bother you don't anymore. And I'm talking healthy, good, whole, one ingredient foods. I'm not talking about the Franken foods that come in boxes. I'm talking about healthy, whole foods. There's some guidelines, we want to get rid of bad fats. We want to stay away from sugar. We want to stay away from processed foods. Those are guidelines for when you do start to eat the whole food. But making sure there's variety, changing up some things so that you're not stuck in some diet conundrum where it's the same day after day after day. Because who wants to do that for the rest of their life? There's beautiful food out there. There's wonderful food out there. So making sure you mix it up, trying different things, getting the different nutrients, that will do nothing but make you feel better. Okay, pillar number 4, surround yourself with a supportive community. When I first started fasting, I was probably the only one I knew that was fasting. And a lot of people didn't understand that. They said, you're starving yourself. Well, starving yourself means you're going without food to harm yourself. Fasting is you're just feeding what your body needs, and not too much and not too less. You're not eating all day long, you're just feeding your body what it needs. That's fasting. And that's the difference between starvation and fasting. And starvation is usually not voluntary, right? Fasting is voluntary. And it's a discipline that we start to do ourselves. And it is something that you have to learn about so that you become confident and courageous, because people will ask. People will wonder. People will complain. People will say things negatively. And finding a supportive community can be hard. And I would say the best place that I found a supportive community around building my fasting lifestyle was online, in Facebook groups, on YouTube channels, people that I could relate to, sharing their own journey, sharing their education, showing what they did every day and explaining why was my biggest comfort and my biggest support, until people around me started to understand, learn more about it, and become more accepting of it, and understand this is just my way of life. Everybody I know personally knows I fast, and it's just part of my lifestyle. So now I don't feel I have to defend it or explain it very much, because it's just what I do. And I'm confident enough in the benefits of it, all the things that it has done for me. I'm confident enough in that somebody can say something to me and it's not going to bother me. But when you're first starting out, that's hard. So read books, watch YouTube videos. If you can find a Facebook group that supports intermittent fasting, great, do that. But that's what I want this channel and this community to be, is a supportive place where you can ask a question and I will answer it. There's no judgment. I had to learn just like everybody else has to learn. And I just want to share with you so you can learn. And I want to just say that community is a big part. If you can find just one person who will walk with you and join you on this journey, it makes a huge difference, whether that's a spouse, whether that's a child. I have adult daughters who now we talk in a way that we're all fasters. We talk about an eating window. We talk about, are you still eating? Are you fasting? It's just part of our everyday language. And so I've created this community around me. This is great supportive, but at the beginning I didn't have that because no one understood. I read, I learned, I listened, I understood, but it took people a while to really even accept it. And now that they have, it's just, Mom, are you eating? No? Okay. There's no question, there's no argument, there's no wondering. It's just part of the community around me. So that makes a big, big difference. And I'm here to support you. The fifth pillar that I didn't realize was so important until I started and was well into my fasting journey, and that is the spiritual pillar. Now, when I first came to fasting, like I said, I came for fat loss. I came for weight loss. I did not think anything spiritual about it. I grew up in a home where we didn't fast. We didn't do spiritual fasting. And I learned about it. My husband, he was strong in his faith, Catholic faith, and he talked about fasting during Lent. Well, I was Protestant. I was brought Protestant. We didn't have Lent and we didn't have fasting church in the church calendar. And so when I started fasting, I didn't really have much importance on the spiritual aspect of it. But guess what happened? That aspect, the spiritual aspect, just organically came to me. First of all, my body was being healed. That was a big thing for me, that my body could heal itself. That's by doing something, praying, because when I first wanted to lose fat, that's the first thing I did was pray. But by praying and then taking action with the information that was brought to me, I started to lose weight. I started to feel better. I started to heal my body. Things were happening and I had no explanation for it. The only explanation that came through the years was God and this body that he created. Now, one of my favorite quotes is from St. Augustine, and it is, take care of your body as if you were going to live forever, and take care of your soul as if you were going to die tomorrow. Well, we were so focused on taking care of our soul, which yes, you should be, but your body, the body that God gave you to live your mission, to do what you're supposed to do in life, to care for your family, to reach out to the poor and needy, to do your ministry, to do your job, to provide your family. Your body is so important. And the more I started fasting, the more virtue grew in my life, right? Self-control. I got courage. I got ambition and the desire to step out and do more of what I was called to do. I've seen prayer answered. I've seen hearts touched. Just because I realized how powerful fasting was and how combining prayer with my fasting every day can change not only my life, but it can change my family's life. It can change our church. It can change our world. There's so much to the spiritual aspect of fasting. And I hope to share more of that on this channel, but that is the fifth pillar that has really changed and made this fasting lifestyle just so part of me. And I will tell you, if you come to fasting and it's not for spiritual reasons, it's for weight loss, it's for hormonal regulation, it's for taking care of some healing that you need, some body's inflammation, whatever. I would never turn anybody away if they didn't say for a spiritual reason, because fasting was created by God. And so in his wonderful providence and wisdom, he knew fasting, although good for the body, is good for the mind, is good for the emotions, and is good for the soul. And when you start taking care of one, you're going to be taking care of another. Just like when I came to fasting, I came for weight loss, but it has changed. Yes, my weight. It's changed my emotional health, my mental health, and it has changed my spiritual health. Not because that's why I came to it. So I just want to encourage you, if you ever hear you shouldn't fast because you're not doing it for spiritual reasons, I really differ from that opinion. Fasting has changed my life on every level, including spiritual, but I wouldn't have found that out had I not began for weight loss. So that's what I have to say. That's my soapbox on that, because it's changed my life. And I believe it can change everybody's life. And I'm here to share how to fast, why you should fast, and how you can create your own fasting lifestyle. So those are the 5 pillars that we went through. Get a reason, discover your reason. The second one is vary your fast lengths. Make sure you're not fasting the same every day. The third one is change up your food. Vary your food in accordance with your hormone level. This channel is mainly for women, and I'm talking about hormones, women's hormones, how we fluctuate all through the month. You want to make sure you're fasting in accordance with that. That way you won't get into the issue where you plateau, where you're gaining weight when you shouldn't, where your lifestyle isn't as effective as it should be. You need to make sure you're varying your fast, varying your food. Surround yourself with a supportive community like here. Make sure that you have at least somebody. If you don't have anybody, you have me. I'm here and I'm on your side and I support you and I will answer questions. That's what I'm here for. Pillar number 5 is spiritual. We have a tool, something that was told to us that prayer and fasting together could drive out demons. That's good news. And so when you combine that spiritual aspect of it, you will see God working in your life. Please, if you have any questions, because I read the comments and I love to see what your thoughts are on my videos, I guess that's it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, those 3 things. Remember that the little habits that you put in place today directly affect any sickness, illness, disease, or destination that you deal with tomorrow. And I'll see you in the next video.